Financial independence sounds like a lifestyle, a goal, a movement, a dream. For some people, it means retiring early. For others, it means having the freedom to choose how they spend their time. But beneath all the books, podcasts, and personal finance advice, financial independence is actually something much simpler. It's mathematics. Not motivation, not discipline, not even investing. At its core, financial independence is a math problem. And what's fascinating is that most people spend years focusing on the wrong numbers. They focus on income, salary, raises, promotions. But those aren't the numbers that ultimately determine financial independence. The numbers that matter are far less obvious. And once you understand them, the entire concept starts looking very different.
Most people assume financial independence is primarily about becoming rich. The logic seems straightforward. Earn enough money and eventually you'll be free. But there's a problem. Two people can earn exactly the same income and have completely different paths toward financial independence. One may reach it decades earlier. The other may never reach it at all. How's that possible? Because financial independence isn't determined by how much money comes in. It's determined by the relationship between what comes in and what goes out. And that relationship creates one of the most misunderstood equations in personal finance.
Imagine two households. Both earn $100,000 per year. The first household spends $95,000. The second spends $50,000. At first glance, both appear equally successful. The same income, the same lifestyle category, the same earning power. But financially, they live in completely different universes. One household saves 5% of income. The other saves 50%. And this single difference creates dramatically different futures. Not because of luck, not because of investment skill, but because savings determine ownership. And ownership is ultimately what creates freedom.
Here's where the mathematics become interesting. Most people think doubling income dramatically accelerates financial independence. Sometimes it does, but often it doesn't, because increasing income and increasing spending tend to happen together. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. Every raise creates larger expenses, a bigger home, a newer car, more subscriptions, more upgrades, more consumption. As income rises, spending rises alongside it, which means the distance between income and expenses barely changes. And if that gap doesn't change, neither does the path to financial independence.
This leads to a strange conclusion. A person earning $70,000 while saving aggressively may reach financial independence sooner than someone earning $200,000 who spends nearly everything. That idea feels wrong, because income is visible. Savings are invisible. People see salaries. They see houses, they see cars, they see vacations. They rarely see savings rates. Yet savings rates quietly determine how much of your future is being purchased. Every invested dollar becomes a tiny worker, a worker that may continue producing value long after the original effort is complete. The more workers you own, the less dependent you become on selling your time. And that's where the mathematics begin changing your life.
The first major insight is that financial independence is not primarily about portfolio size. It's about expenses. This surprises many people. When people imagine financial independence, they usually focus on the amount of money required. $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. But the target changes dramatically depending on spending. A household spending less generally requires fewer assets to support that lifestyle than a household spending significantly more, which means there are actually two ways to move closer to financial independence: increase assets or reduce the amount those assets need to support. Most people focus entirely on the first option. Few pay attention to the second.
Now we arrive at the deeper mathematics. Compounding. Compounding is often described as earning returns on returns, but that description doesn't fully capture what's happening. Compounding creates acceleration. At first, progress appears slow, almost disappointing. Years may pass with little visible change. Then something remarkable happens. Growth begins producing more growth than your own contributions. The system starts helping itself. And eventually, the portfolio may grow more from accumulated assets than from new deposits. This is the moment many people mistakenly call luck, but it isn't luck. It's mathematics operating over long periods of time.
Now, the story becomes larger than personal finance because financial independence is fundamentally a question of ownership. Most people spend their careers converting time into money. Work produces income. Income funds consumption. The cycle repeats. Ownership changes the equation. Assets can potentially produce income without requiring additional labor. The greater the ownership, the less dependent someone becomes on continuously selling their time, which means financial independence isn't really about money. Money is simply the measurement. The real goal is control over time, and time may be the most valuable asset people possess.
So, what is the math behind financial independence? It's surprisingly simple. The gap between income and expenses creates savings. Savings purchase assets. Assets can potentially generate future growth. Growth compounds. Compounding gradually reduces dependence on earned income. And eventually, for some people, ownership begins doing a meaningful share of the financial work. No secret formulas, no hidden shortcuts, just mathematics interacting with behavior over time. The equation is simple. Living it is the difficult part.
Perhaps that's why financial independence remains so misunderstood. People often search for complexity. They search for secret investments, advanced strategies, perfect market predictions. But the foundation is often much simpler. A larger gap between earning and spending, consistent ownership of productive assets, enough time for compounding to work. The challenge isn't understanding the equation. The challenge is remaining patient while the equation quietly works in the background. Final closing statement. Financial independence is often presented as a financial milestone, but underneath the money lies something much deeper, a mathematical transition, a gradual shift from depending entirely on your labor to benefiting increasingly from your ownership. And once you understand that distinction, financial independence stops looking like a dream. It starts looking like a system.